So you're building with AI on Google's platform, and you've probably run into two names that sound kind of similar, AI Studio and Firebase Studio. But here's the thing, they're built for totally different jobs. In this explainer, we're going to pull back the curtain on these two tools and give you a clear, strategic guide to figure out which one is the right starting point for your next project. This is the big question, right? In Google's fast-moving AI world, picking the right tool from the get-go can save you a ton of headaches down the line. So, what do you need? Is it a playground to just mess around with the models, or do you need a full-blown workshop to build an entire app? Let's get into it. Here's our game plan. We'll start by looking at what Google calls its two front doors strategy. Then, we'll dive deep into AI Studio, the playground, and then check out Firebase Studio, the app workshop. After that, we'll give you a framework for choosing your starting point, and this is the important part, we'll show you how each path scales up to a real enterprise-grade solution. All right, first things first, we have to get this one concept down because it's the most important one. It's really easy to look at these two tools and think they're competing with each other, but that's not how Google sees it at all. They see them as two different but complementary ways to get into their AI ecosystem. To put it as simply as possible, AI Studio is where you go to get your hands on the AI models themselves. It's like a lab where you can experiment with Gemini and Gamma. Firebase Studio, on the other hand, is where you go to build the actual app that uses those models. See the difference? One is for tinkering with the AI brain, the other is for building the body around it. Okay, let's walk through that first door, AI Studio. And the subtitle here says it all. It's a playground. This place is designed for one thing, speed. It's for rapid-fire experiments, for perfecting your prompts, and for just exploring what Google's models are capable of without needing to set up anything complicated. The real magic here is how easy it is to get started. It's just a website. You just need a Google account and you're in. This totally removes all that friction of spinning up development environments, so literally anyone can start playing around with generative AI right away. And when you look at why it exists, you can see it's really a strategic first step. It's all about discovery and speed. You can test out an idea, nail down the perfect prompt, and, this is key, get an API key immediately so you can start building. It's the absolute path of least resistance from having a cool idea to actually writing some code. Now, this is where the real fun happens in the playground. These parameters are basically the control knobs on the AI model. Want the model to get creative and write some wild marketing copy? Crank up the temperature. Need it to be super factual and just pull data from a document? Turn it way down. And stop sequences are crucial, not just for shaping the response, but also for controlling your costs. Mastering these is the heart of prompt engineering. So, after all that playing around and tuning, what do you actually walk away with? It's simple. You leave with a prompt that you know works, the perfect settings to go with it, and the API key you need to call it from your own app. It's the perfect handoff from the what-if phase to the let's build it phase. All right, on to the second door, Firebase Studio. If AI Studio is the playground, then think of Firebase Studio as the full-on application workshop. And pay attention to that key phrase, agent-driven. That's a huge clue that we're talking about a completely different philosophy here. Firebase Studio, which you might remember as Project IDX, is a complete cloud-based coding environment. In here, Gemini isn't just something you call with an API. No, it's your coding partner. It's an agent that understands your entire project and helps you write code, find bugs, and even build out entire chunks of your application. This thing is an absolute powerhouse. You get a coding environment that feels just like VS Code, but it's running on its own powerful machine in the cloud. The app prototyping agent is wild. You can give it a prompt and it will literally build the scaffolding for a full stack application for you. And it's all wired up from the start to the Firebase services that millions of developers already know and love, like authentication and Firestore. So unlike AI Studio, where you leave with just a prompt and a key, when you're done here, you walk away with a complete, containerized, version-controlled application that's literally one click away from being deployed. It's the whole shebang, from a simple idea to a live app. Okay, so we've seen the playground, and we've seen the workshop. Now we get to the most important part. How do you, as a developer or a team lead, decide where to even begin? Well, it turns out it all boils down to one simple strategic question. Just think about that for a second. If your main goal is to explore what the AI can do on its own, like maybe you're building a brand new kind of text summarizer, then the AI is the product. You should start in AI Studio. But If you're building a big e-commerce app that just happens to have a little AI-powered feature for writing product descriptions, then AI is just a feature. In that case, you start in Firebase Studio. This table lays it all out, side by side, from what you use it for to what you get at the end. But honestly, the most critical row on this entire chart, the one you need to be thinking about for the long term, is that last one, the scaling path. So let's talk about that right now. Let's be real, a successful prototype is great, but it's pretty useless if you can't scale it up in a secure and reliable way. Both of these studios have a very clear path to becoming an enterprise-ready system, but those paths are completely different.
So let's look at the first path. You've been in AI Studio, you've perfected your prompt. What now? Well, the next step is to graduate your project over to Vertex AI. That's Google's massive unified platform for machine learning, and it gives you all the security, governance, and control you need for a real production environment.
Now, the word migration can sound a little scary, but it's actually a really well-defined playbook. You're basically just changing your code to point to the grown-up Vertex AI endpoint, swapping out your simple API key for a much more secure service account, and moving your prompts over. It's a clear, step-by-step process to get you to production-level maturity. And what about path number 2? What happens when that app you built in Firebase Studio suddenly gets super popular? The great news is scalability is baked into this thing from the very beginning. You don't migrate out of Firebase, you just scale with it by tapping into the massive power of the Google Cloud platform that it's built on. This is the secret to Firebase's power. It's basically a really nice, developer-friendly interface that sits on top of Google's battle-tested, industrial-strength cloud services. So as your app grows, you can start to directly use the underlying Google Cloud services for more power and control, all without having to rewrite your entire application. Now, here's a super important note for any manager or tech lead watching. Both of these paths eventually lead you away from the free tiers and into the world of paying for what you use. The enterprise path is also the billing path. That means it is absolutely vital to start thinking about potential costs early on, even when you're just prototyping, so you don't get any nasty surprises later. You know, this quote really nails the massive shift that's happening right now. What we're seeing, especially with tools like Firebase Studio, is that we're moving away from just calling an AI API. Instead, AI is becoming a genuine partner, an agent that's involved in every single step of building software. And that leaves us with a pretty fascinating and kind of wild final thought. As these AI agents get more and more capable, and as they get more deeply woven into how we work every day, from the initial idea all the way to deployment, it really forces us to rethink what it even means to be a developer. It's a huge shift, and these two studios are sitting right at the very front of it.